Miranda, this reminder in order. We'll take your calls over the next hour at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Looking forward to talking to you on Newsmax Prime. Now let's talk to two gentlemen who know whereof they speak on these stories. Skyping in from Northern Virginia, presidential historian and the CEO of Shirley and Bannister Public Affairs, Craig Shirley. Craig, of course, the author of the book Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan. And via Skype from Utica, New York, we welcome pollster John Zogby. John's also the director of the Keenan Center for Entrepreneurship and Ethics at Lemoyne College, his alma mater. He's the author of the book First Globals, Understanding, Managing, and Unleashing Our Millennial Generation. Gentlemen, it's good to have you here. Lindsey Graham shows up on CNN and says it's time for Republicans to pull their support from Donald Trump. Let's look and listen.
I've been pleased to hear widespread condemnation by Republicans that if Mr. Trump continues this, which is clearly over the top, you may not think it's un-American, I do. You may not think it's racist, I do. But if he continues this line of attack, then I think people need to really reconsider for the future of the party and the future of the country whether they should support him.
Craig Shirley, I just scratch my head and wonder if people down in Spartanburg and Greenville and all down in Charleston just take a look at Lindsey and say, man, Lindsey has gone Washington on us.
He's got more positions than an infield. You know, first he condemns Trump, then he makes fun of him, then he endorses him, now he calls on people to endorse him. You just have to look at your watch and wait 1 minute, and Lindsey Graham's position will change again.
Let me turn to you, John Zogby. And so you've got Lindsey out there saying people ought to back away from Trump. And later this afternoon, we saw Mark Kirk of Illinois do exactly that. Now, Mark's got a tough race. He's coming off some health problems. But I know during our time in the House, he was absolutely obsessed with women suburbanites and how they viewed the world. Is Kirk going to profit from this politically, backing away from the nominee?
Well, Kirk has his own problems internally within the state of Illinois, and he's running against a very tough congresswoman, Tammy Duckworth. And so there's the local aspect of it. But, you know, he needs to have a Republican Party with a big tent in a state like Illinois, just like you do in New York or Pennsylvania or Ohio, for that matter. And so this kind of controversy is not the sort of thing that helps a candidate like Kirk, and it's totally understandable given the trouble that he's in, and he's down substantially. You know, that he's going to back away from the party nominee after a comment like this.
Well, let's not back away from comments from our viewers. Let's go to them at 1-877-NEWSMAX. First up from Omaha, Nebraska, let's welcome Sean to Newsmax Prime. Hi, Sean.
Hi, JD. How are you?
Doing fine, thanks. What's on your mind?
Talking about Donald Trump. Okay, I don't think the statement was racist at all. And I run a large food court here in Omaha, Nebraska. Everybody down there says the same thing. It's not a racist comment. What was racist about the comment? I don't. None of us understand that. Another thing. Why are we talking about Hillary calling the young black guys predators? I mean, that's a racist comment that she made.
Well, let's turn to Craig Shirley, who often tries to interpret comments from the banks of the Potomac. We hear it right there from Sean, Craig, the disconnect with everyday Americans in this scramble to identify Trump's comments as racist.
Well, you know, if you look at this historically, the Democratic Party has a long history of racism in America. It was built on the specter of slavery in the 1840s and 1850s. Jim Crow was practiced by Democrats. FDR snubbed the Olympic athletes like Jesse Owens when they came back. The Democratic Party has a long history of racism, which, by the way, for which they've never apologized. Jimmy Carter, as recently in 1976, worshipped at the Plains Baptist Church that prohibited blacks from joining that church. So I think that Trump got his tongue tied in this. I think he's questioning the judge's integrity, not necessarily his nationality. But, you know, in the world of political correctness of Washington and New York, is that anytime a Republican questions the integrity of somebody of another race, it's automatically slapped as racism. And I think that the caller has a very good point.
All right, let me go. Let's bring in another caller here if we could. From Philadelphia, Brian is on the line. About a minute and a half left in this segment. Brian, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I feel myself, Lindsey Graham's like a fish out of water, flip-flopping all around. I agree with Pat Buchanan's statement as far as this judge. What he has to, we're supposed to tiptoe around what his feelings are. Matter of fact, I think Donald Trump was a little bit on the polite side.
Okay, all right. Well, you're from the city for brotherly love, Brian. We appreciate your comments. John Zogby, a minute left. I know you want to get in on this discussion.
Yeah, very simply, look, Donald Trump may have scored some points, in terms of questioning the judge and his legal case, whether or not the judge should recuse himself or not. But we're talking politics. And the fact of the matter is the GOP, Reince Priebus, did an autopsy after 2012 and said, look, we've got to get more support among Latinos. This is not the way to do it. Should not be raising this kind of issue June, about 6 weeks before the GOP meets in Cleveland.
All right, well, they will gather for the convention in Cleveland, Ohio. And gentlemen, we will invite you back here in just a few minutes as we continue our discussion. And of course, wherever you are, if you're watching and you have your phone with you, we welcome your calls at 1-877-Newsmax. Up next, we'll talk about California, Hillary, Bernie, and more as we continue.